What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another window shopping episode for June 2026. So if you don't know what this is, first time to the channel or anything, basically we look at the central market, talk about the notable items and trends, things worth enhancing, buying, selling, all those stuff, notable items. So regardless of if you're on the NA server or any other server, I hope this helps you, just because this game is a very event-driven economy. So whatever is happening, like for example, we have a lot of events now, so grinding and everything, and node wars, so the prices of various things will go up and down. So with that said, let's take a look at the market. Let's look at all the notable weapons and then like all the notable items and then the extra stuff. All right, so starting off with the beginner stuff and people who are coming out of seasons, you're probably thinking about going into the Blackstar route. After seasonals, you probably have a total of like 4, and then you have enough hammers to potentially make a 5th one. So Olvia Academy and everything drops the price of Blackstars. So let's see what it's all about. All right, so I've never seen a TET Blackstar so low before. 5 billion, that's actually insane. So we'll talk about this from a new player perspective as well. What you should get first, I get this a lot. People are like, oh, should I go Awakening Weapon, Main Hand? It really just depends on what you're playing. So whatever class, are you playing Awakening or Succession? If you have no idea, I would probably still pick Main Hand if like you're like on defense between them, just because Main Hand still uses everything regardless. Most classes do swap back to Main Hand for a few things, so you can't really go wrong with Main Hand. All right, Awakening, let's see, what is all this? So main hands are about like 5 to 6 billion silver. Awakening is 8.5 to almost 10. If you're enhancing it, that's probably a better choice. Nowadays, if you need a pen Blackstar, trust me when I say this, if you have a 0 stack and 0 of those free hammers or anything, just save up enough, grind a couple hours, and then buy it. Back in the day, these used to be like 150 billion, and it just went down over time. So yeah, nowadays, newer players, you got this pretty easy. Just grind a couple hours and you're good to go. All right, sub-weapon. Let's see. As far as I know, sub-weapons have universally always been the one to enhance or profit. Is it as profitable nowadays anymore? Debatable, but making like fail stacks up to TET and then is always good if you need a 200 stack. They kind of give those out like candy these days, but if you're thinking about self-enhancing for profit, going up to TET on the offhand is probably the way to go. Even then, you may or may not even sometimes it's not even profit, it's just straight a loss. But yeah, here we are. So Agris went 9 out of 15 on a TET. That's crazy. All right, maybe I should just make one more eventually and then TET and slam it to 15. Just get that pity out of the way. But yeah, enhancer profit is the offhands. If you buying it because you need it, I would probably choose main hand if you are on the fence. Otherwise, pick the awakening if you are an awakening spec, like that's what you want to play, and main hand if you're succession, and profit for offhand, or just get that 1 second, because turning that into sovereign, the offhand is the more expensive one. Okay, armors. So we're going to be talking about the 4 different Fallen God armors. I pray in the Heidel Ball coming up in July next month, they reduced the pity number from 50. Like, I just hope they cut it in half across the board. That way, newer people coming straight out of seasons or mid-game returning players will be able to get Adana armors a lot easier. So my recommendation, cut the pity number down in half, maybe even more at this point, and then it'll help people get into the end game a lot faster. Okay, so What would I recommend doing if I was in a position where like I'm just playing the game and I need this for upgrades? Let's see. Well, enhancing it really doesn't feel good. There's no way around it, but you need the item. So I would probably try to save up and buy a try or a duo, like duo or try, save those, or like buy it there, self-enhance it all the way up to Tet. Now, this is where things get expensive. If you go from Agris 0 to 50, which is basically the guarantee to get it, that's like 400 bill, assuming the worst. Now, if you buy it, it's 240 billion, 220, 240, somewhere around that range for the other pieces. There's a lot of debate whether you should buy it or not. I think the answer is self-enhance it, just because one, like telling a newer player or someone who's like returning to the game to just save up 240 billion silver, I guarantee you that'll probably make them want to quit the game and just find something else. Otherwise, you know, there's a chance of you hitting it if you're using a proper stack. I would say 250 plus, and it's like a 5% chance. That doesn't feel good either, but yeah. It's one of those things where it's a problem from Pearl Abyss. They really just have to cut that Agris number down, and that would actually just solve the problem. So yeah, the safer route is buying it. The more fun route and the expected one for most people is to self-enhance it. So yeah, it's not great. Anyway, that's what I would do for all the armors. And just to say, if you are self-enhancing it from base, because let's say you're a returning player and all you had was a base or something, 0 to pry, I would probably use like an 80 to 100 stack. Pry to duo, 120 to 150. Duo to try, 150 to 200. And try to Tet is 250 plus. All right. Let's talk about Manos clothes. As far as I know, nothing really changed in terms of life skills aside from the Star of Nostos, the new Gathering Treasure item. I'd assume that makes the Gathering Treasure item or the clothes a little bit more expensive. Realistically, it went up for a little bit when this came out, and then like the treasure item came out on the 14th, as far as I remember. It went up, now it's going down. It is what it is. Now's a good time to buy it. If you can buy it at minimum, great. Aside from that, fishing is still the usual. Alchemy and cooking, you know, nothing changed. Sailor's clothes for blue battlefield if you do boat PvP. It is what it is. And then hunting if you enjoy hunting. So, I don't know. It's really dependent on what you do for life skills. But other than that, if you have a Tet armor, that's generally good enough. And then Pen if you really like that life skill. Okay, let's talk about accessories. So we're going to be talking about Prion and Deboreka. Now these are PvE and life skill. Let's get the Deboreka out of the way. People ask me when you should convert to Karazad. People ask, should you buy it at Tet and then convert it in from like a, I think it's Pen Karazad, and then Pen Debo converts into a Nov Karazad. So realistically, it's kind of like the whole Fallen God armor of whether you should buy it versus self-enhance it. The smarter play is to buy it, but do you like incremental gains on the way, or can you just lock in and save up about 200 billion silver and then do it? I think the real answer is self-enhancing it. Depending on if you have the fail stacks on it, you're probably going to spend a little more over time, but you are going to be able to get incremental gains for Karazad on the side, which allows you to like move up to higher grind spots. Like, let's say it takes you, I don't know, 100 hours to grind for a Pen Devo ring, right? Then you get a couple AP, maybe you're able to move up a new grind spot. Instead of the 100 hours, every like 20 hours, if you were to go to Tet route, you could probably move from spot A to B, the higher one, over time. You might spend a little bit more silver, but at least it's not like boring grinding the same spot for 100 hours. So you're basically playing the game a little bit more, trying out different things, which I think overall in the long run is probably a better thing. There's bonuses to that, like you get more ecology, knowledge, you understand different grind spots, and in the future if they buff older ones. So I think you should enhance it. But if you really like one grind spot and you can lock in to save up and buy it, great. So yeah. In terms of which order you should go for, so pretend these are Deberekas, right? You should always go for the necklace first because it gives the most AP, followed by the belt or rings. Those give the same amount of AP, but it really just depends which one you want first. I'd probably just go with the belt because you only need one of them, and then this one's two, so that could be more expensive. And then rings next. Earrings are always going to be last because these are not only the most expensive, but they give the least amount of AP compared to the other ones. So that's when you want to convert it last. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so pre-own. This one is a little bit easier to talk about because this is on the life skill side and for people who are curious. So obviously more is better. Higher tier gives more mastery. But I think some breakpoints that are important to know are when you look at this item, right? You look at the tooltip at the bottom where it says life XP percentage and then mastery. Now every tier it goes up more mastery. That's good. But up until here, up until Hex, it maxes out at 12% life. And then anything under that, so like up until base to try or base to duo is 8%. Try to pen is 10%. Hex all the way to deck is 12%. So those are like the breakpoints I would recommend. 2%, is it that noticeable? Depends on what you're doing, to be honest. Yes, I would say it's important. So I believe they all give roughly the same amount of mastery per upgrade, but the only thing you really need to know is the life skill XP breakpoints, which is try, Hex, from 8 to 10 to 12%. And then how much your budget is. If you're in the range of high end and you're thinking, should I just buy an Oct or something? Or should I just save up for a pen? Or not pen, deck. You should just save up for the deck because the enhancing rates are stupid. They're flat chances, and saving up, I understand that like 400 billion is a lot. It is, absolutely. But the idea of being able to skip, like by the time you're thinking about getting deck pre-owned, chances are your gear is good enough to be like, you can make 500 bill or 400 bill. Not too badly, I guess, compared to a new player. Life skiller gear is a lot cheaper in the overall compared to PvE and PvP gear, because one, you don't really need the weapons, and then your artifacts are slightly cheaper. Well, actually, no, I don't know about that. You have a lot more artifacts and light stones, but in terms of like deck Karazad versus deck pre-owned, it's roughly the same in terms of enhanced costs from base. So I mean, if you can buy it, that would at that point like already endgame, then yeah, you're good. Okay, so we talked about those. Let's see what's next. Every month I like looking at the price of Splendids and Shinings. One day, Shinings will go to minimum price. The people who are buying it at not minimum price are impatient people. All you have to do is let this go to minimum, and then people, you'll get it for cheaper. So yeah, I understand, like, people want to get things now. I understand that entirely, but all you have to do is have a little bit of patience. Every 5 days or so on cycle, someone inevitably gets a shining through sheer RNG, and yeah, like you just get it. There is no like this is an RNG item. You cannot focus it, you just get it or you pity it. And it's time gated, so I guess that could be a thing. So either way, do I value this at whatever the price is? No. Splendid's on the other hand, the max I would pay for this is probably about like 230 in terms of like the time gate for everything. So up to 230. I think I read the math somewhere in terms of if you're clicking it, it's a little bit less than that, but you obviously save the time. And when it comes to shining, like by the time you have a shining, you should already have perfect gear or very close to perfect gear already, to the point where you are the only thing that matters is attack cast speed. The plus 3 AP, that's nice, but you should be beyond the highest PvE grind spot. And you're either doing it for PvP, which at that end doesn't really matter, or the plus 2% attack cast. What most people should really focus on is getting a Vel's Heart if you don't have one. This one is just surprisingly dumb. This has been out for what, like 5-6 years now, and people still look at the number of orders. You know what they should do? Put this in the night, like the night vendor, at a lower rate, but have it a permanent thing. That way, the people who do night vendors, there will be more on the market overall. I don't understand why this is still so rare, because it's like a 6-year-old item, and then everyone needs it. So either increase the rates, or make it somehow obtainable permanently. Other than that, let's see. That is still going down over the board. This is like the one you should go for last, like 2 years from now. Shining Lifestone. You see what happens when you just let this go to the minimum. For life skillers, this is roughly around how much like the pity costs, around 1 trillion. Is it a lot? Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, not having to go through the full 250, like say you're going for your destruction stone, but you also do life skills, I would pay 1 trillion. Like I would pay honestly any of these prices from 1 trill to 1.6 or 1.16. So destruction, on the other hand, no, I would not. Like, even if I didn't have a deck weapon, let's say I had like 2 Novs, if you are full buffed, chances are you can still reach the highest grind spot you can. So PvE, you can do that without a shining. PvP, well, I mean, it could matter, but realistically, will it? Probably not. This game's balance and PvP numbers are so wonk that it's very minimal. What else is important? I read into Global Labs, they're changing something with how horses work, or adding or like revamping the Imperial exchanges for horses, so that might change next week. Blue Battlefield is still popping off, so whether you need a ship license, honestly, all 4 of them are good nowadays. But here's, in case you are a returning player and have no idea what you should do, Advance and Balance are both for bartering. So basically, if you do any bartering in this game, you should get either one of them. I'm not sure which one is better, but I heard Balance is now, you know, actually good. Advance is for specifically that. Valor is the PvP boat, or the one that does sea monster hunting faster, like it does more damage. Volante is the speed boat, you can get from point A to B faster. And Advance and Balance are bartering, so pick the one that you enjoy doing. It's not too hard to make a boat these days. If you're looking at your server and you're like, oh, there's so many orders, it doesn't take that long to make one. Probably 2 weeks tops, maybe even less if you go hard, so who knows. I think the hardest thing for most people will be getting the blue gear. Enhancing it from 0 to 10 it's not expensive at all these days. Back in the day, it is, with the amount of free fail stacks they give you. It's just getting the blue ones. So here's what I'd recommend. If you've never done sailing and you're thinking about, like, I want to do this, but I don't know, here's some nodes that I would put it on. Start investing into nodes like over here, here, and then these two up here, simply because these give the blueprints. And then when you invest into Ilia Island, you'll get the blueprints just by naturally having your game on. And then you invest into Ilia Island 3, this house, which makes all the carrot gear. And then you need the permit, which you would get in Port Eferia down here. The NPC over here, he sells it for 1 billion silver. That's the free part, believe it or not. And then he'll give you the license or the permit, and then you just build all the other pieces that you need. If you're wondering how to get all of the materials and the green stuff, like the green gear, you could just buy it with crow coins or something from the vendor. Everything else, you do saltwater crocodiles and or sailing dailies. You're basically up here doing all that. So if you have your boat, send it to Morning Light, one of these, and then you just do saltwater crocodiles. You could also do leprechauns down here, and that gives you the crystals that you need. All right, so other important things we should probably talk about. Enhancing materials. This one is kind of, up and down because recently, once again, we talked about the Star of Nostos and the treasure items, which makes life skill and materials go down and or up. So let's look at it. What are the ones that matter? Sharps. These will always be 5 mil at minimum. If you can get them under 5 mil, that's great. But for everyone upgrading their alchemy stones, it's either 12 billion silver from the Old Moon vendor, you buy that other catalyst material, or you can buy enough of these, and it's 2,400 every 5 days. And if you can get it for under 5 mil each, it's cheaper to buy sharps. If they're over 5, then you buy it from the vendor. If you're a life skiller, then this is not a problem. There's a lot of concentrated black gems because people are gathering for the treasures, and memfrags have... Every time they add a gamba box or the pearl stuff that give you a bunch of memfrags, this will never go back to 5 mil. It is what it is. It's a Pearl Abyss problem. As long as people are whaling in this game and spending money, these will never max out again. It feels kind of bad, actually. So I know a couple people that invested like hundreds of billions into memfrags. Well, unlucky. Essence of Dawn. If you need these, the best time to buy them is on Saturdays because the boss shrine rewards are given out and then, and people are just min pricing them. If you need fail stacks, these are the ones to build 300 to 350. Other than that, these are the ones to build up to a 300. Capra stones, roughly consistent every month within like 2.1 to 2.3 billion. I know this kind of fluctuates, but it's like roughly the same every month. Oh yeah, there's one more thing. Artifacts. I know there's a lot of new players that still need the Kabuas. If you can get the order, that's good. But if you can get the fragments, put an order on these, and chances are you just have 100 of them. And it'll cost you a little bit more, but you can get it faster in a way. So yeah, there's that. But iridescents are going down a little bit because they added them to world bosses at a higher drop rate. So these used to be, like above 4 billion. Now they're tanking down a little bit. Also, the reason why these are important is if you are doing any sort of life skills, basically every life skill that matters, with the best in slot or very close to best in slot combo, will probably use an iridescent. And even if you're a PvEer, there's a lot of things you might need for PvP, species, and then a few other ones. So iridescents are very important. And Let's see. As far as I understand, elixirs and everything are, you know, if you can get NBs and tenacities, deep seas and courages, always good. The ones that you should probably look for: courage, deep sea, NB, tenacity. These are the better versions of these, but either way is good. Most important, if you're an endgame alchemist, the most important one you should probably do is probably Adania, because endgame players grind more and use a lot more of those. Otherwise, I think demi-human comes in second, comma in third, and PvPers will use human. So just whichever one costs the most, you want to make that one for the most profit. And then there's that. So yeah, with that said, I think that's all I wanted to talk about, just to make sure we talked about everything. All light stones are basically going down in price nowadays because they don't break unless you're red, which most people aren't. Life tools are probably up. All the Manos ones in general, they'll probably go down within a month or two if you're patient. And yeah, I believe that's it. So with that said, hope you guys learned something. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, or you could join the Discord. Happy to point you guys in the right direction. And we got a bunch of stuff coming out next week with the huge PvE update patch. And if you haven't caught the Global Lab notes, I have a video on the channel talking about what's coming up in the upcoming week. So anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. Peace.